The ship arrived without ceremony, casting a shadow across the moon's surface and half the Earth's satellites. No warnings. No greetings. Just a transmission. The message, oddly courteous in tone, bled arrogance. To the humans of Earth, it began in smooth, synthesized English. The Galactic Empire extends an invitation of submission. You will surrender all planetary sovereignty within 7 of your rotational cycles. Failure to comply will be met with calibrated correction. The president didn't blink. She turned to her chief of staff and said, "Send it to Cross." 3 hours later, Nathaniel Cross stood in the desert sun, boots planted in the red dirt of a retired airstrip outside Nevada. A single runway stretched out behind him like a long-held breath. At his side, a thermos of black coffee steamed against the wind. He didn't wear a uniform, just a gray vest, a white rolled-sleeve shirt, and a silver belt buckle shaped like Texas. His hair was neat. His smile wasn't. The galactic lander descended like a cathedral on fire, a behemoth of glassy alloy and humming noise. Dust kicked up, warbled into static by the anti-grav hum, and Cross didn't flinch. He sipped his coffee. The ramp lowered. First came Zilthor, a reptilian brute in regal robes, forearms tucked neatly behind his back. His scaled head was crowned with ceremonial bone spikes. Beside him slithered Glary, a pale, eel-like creature inside a pressurized bubble tank on mechanical legs. The last to emerge was Protocol Drone 14.77, a floating chrome sphere with blinking eyes and the voice of a DMV worker in a bad mood. Cross smiled and stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth, gentlemen." Zilthor looked down his snout. "You are the leader? I'm Nathaniel Cross. I speak for Earth in these matters. Leaders busy doing leader things, nuclear treaties, TikToks, you know." "I do not," the alien snapped. Cross extended a hand. Zilthor did not take it. Glary's voice bubbled through the tank. "You will comply, yes? Your species is not yet acquainted with the concept of resistance. Your entire military fits inside one sector of our supply ship." Cross looked thoughtful. "Big ship. Must be a pain parallel parking that thing." Protocol Drone 14.77, word forward. "You are requested to transmit all sovereignty codes for planetary control. Delay will be documented as noncompliance." "You'll forgive us," Cross said, "if we're a little slow. It's Thursday. We do barbecue." Zilthor growled. "Our patience has limits." "And ours is ribs," Cross said, stepping aside. "I've prepared a table. If we're going to discuss conquest, we might as well do it over coleslaw." They didn't eat. The aliens observed the spread, a table of smoked brisket, cornbread, and beer, with horror. Glary's tank hissed in protest when it detected mustard. Protocol Drone scanned everything twice. Zilthor simply stood, towering, like a statue that disapproved of its own unveiling. Cross sat anyway, unbothered, and poured himself sweet tea. "Y'all ever have a drink with someone you're about to threaten? Might find it civilizing." "We do not drink with prey," Zilthor said. Cross nodded, took a slow sip, and set the glass down gently. "Noted." Behind him, in the nearby hangar, a dozen silent operators watched via high-angle drone feed. Cross's earpiece buzzed, Maria Jo's voice low and clinical. "They're scanning frequencies. Minimal resistance. Playing dumb." Cross muttered back, "Perfect. Let's keep them confident." Zilthor paced slowly. "You think this is negotiation? You have 7 Earth rotations. Then your skies burn." Cross raised an eyebrow. "Funny thing about the sky. You burn it and you're flying blind." Zilthor ignored him. "We have ended worlds more advanced than yours. Civilizations older, more powerful. And yet none ever insulted us with food and humor." "Well," Cross said, "we're not exactly known for good manners under pressure." Protocol Drone spun around. "You have failed to show appropriate subservience. We are authorized to issue formal pre-punishment warnings. You may lose 1 satellite per hour until compliance improves." Cross smiled. "Start with the old Russian, one that plays Sinatra." The drone paused. "I'm joking," Cross said, leaning back. "Mostly." Zilthor stopped pacing. "Your species hides its weakness in humor. Do not mistake civility for safety." I never do, Cross replied. I mistake it for tradition. He stood, dusted off his jeans, and faced them directly. Here's the thing, gentlemen. Earth's got its flaws. We squabble. We forget our history sometimes. But when pushed, when threatened, we get creative. You mean desperate, Glary gurgled. Same difference where we're from. Cross pulled a slim folder from his vest and slid it across the table. Inside, schematics, ship movement logs, and satellite pings. He didn't explain. He didn't need to. Zilthor opened it, glanced at a page, and hissed. You've tracked our auxiliary pods. We like hobbies, Cross said. Protocol drone hovered closer. This constitutes espionage. Only if we're the weaker species, Cross said. If we're stronger, it's called reconnaissance. There was a long, suffocating pause. Finally, Zilthor shut the folder, nostrils flared. You are not civilized. You are reckless mammals who hide fear behind flair. Cross chuckled. Flair's how we win beauty contests and wars. Usually both. The aliens turned without another word. The ramp hissed open, and they reboarded in silence. Cross stayed behind, finishing his tea. Maria, he said into the mic. Yes. Tell Rook Team to go ahead. Phase 1. Copy. Silent execution. We'll do it friendly. The ship lifted off. Its shadow passed over him once more, then dissipated into sky. He lit a cigarette. The sun was beginning to set, washing the tarmac in a wash of molten gold. Cross stared after the ship as if looking through it. He didn't need to know where it was going. He already knew what was coming back. 3 hours later, the White House received an unmarked transmission. No words. Just a video feed. 3 alien heads, surgically removed, sealed in a cryo case, stamped with an Earth Embassy crest. A single note. Diplomacy received. Earth politely declines. And back at the hangar, Cross stood alone under the buzzing light, coat slung over one shoulder. He looked at the empty sky, exhaled, and said softly, Now we see if they were bluffing too. The 3 heads didn't spark war. They sparked confusion. The Galactic Empire hadn't lost a diplomat in 8,000 years. Not one, not even by accident. Protocol was airtight, fleets near omnipresent. Losing 3 wasn't just unexpected, it was destabilizing. Some on the council blamed pirates. Others suspected sabotage from within. A few whispered the unthinkable, that Earth had done it and meant it. But no one could explain how. To calm the waters, and to save face, the Empire demanded a second contact. This time, no threats, no ultimatums. A show of diplomacy, an act of supreme, patronizing restraint. Earth responded by inviting them to dinner. The location was symbolic. Fort McCallum, a decommissioned base deep in Montana, surrounded by pines and snow-dusted hills. Remote, isolated, perfect for a dinner party with guests who might vaporize continents. Nathaniel Cross stood in the entry hall like he owned it, because he did, technically, having filed for temporary command under something called the Strategic Hospitality Clause. He wore the same vest, the same calm smile, but his eyes had grown colder since the heads were delivered. Still polite, but sharpened, like someone who'd trimmed the edges of courtesy into a blade. Jo moved beside him with military silence. Her black suit was crisp, hair tight in a bun, fingers tapping a concealed tablet. She didn't look at him when she said, 2 shuttles inbound. ETA 10 minutes. Security in place? Every tree out there's got a railgun humming beneath it. He nodded. And the playlist? Leonard Cohen. And Johnny Cash for dessert. Cross almost smiled. Perfect. Let's greet our guests. The aliens landed with less grandeur this time. No cathedral ship. Just a long, sleek diplomatic vessel with ceremonial flags fluttering in defiance of windless air. The ramp descended, and out stepped a new delegation. The lead was Consul Rivek, an avian humanoid whose feathers had been styled into glittering braids. Behind him came Tlun, a fungal being wrapped in semi-transparent robes that misted continuously like dry ice. The final envoy, Observer Unit 9F, looked vaguely human, which somehow made it worse, a waxy imitation, like a mannequin learning to blink. Cross stepped forward, Evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Earth's middle of nowhere. We've got roast beef and bourbon. And yes, we know how absurd that sounds. Consul Rivek dipped his head with slow, practiced grace. This is a gesture of peace. We call it hospitality, Cross said. You call it whatever you like, so long as you don't shoot anyone. The aliens entered the hall with varying degrees of suspicion. Tlun paused beside a mounted elk head and murmured something in spores. Observer Unit 9F scanned every wall, every shadow, every vent. Rivek just walked calmly toward the dining table, long wings tucked behind his back. The table was an earth-touched contradiction. Linen cloths beside gunmetal cutlery, flickering candles between plates of glazed ham and garlic potatoes. Cross had made sure everything smelled richly human. Heavy spices, smoking wood, butter, and blood. The aliens didn't eat. Jo placed a bottle of whiskey beside Rivek. From Tennessee, she said. Fermented on a porch near a gun store. Very earth. Rivek stared at the amber liquid. You, ferment fuel? Cross chuckled. We drink our warnings before we act on am. The air was still. They sat. For the first few minutes, only Cross spoke. He told stories. Half true, all charming. One about a Texas border town that armed raccoons for territorial defense. Another about a Canadian astronaut who bartered with aliens using maple syrup and apologies. The aliens didn't laugh, but something shifted. Tension curled at the edges of comfort. They weren't sure if he was joking or insane or both. Tlun finally broke the silence. We did not authorize a war. The previous incident, your returned diplomats, were alarming. You threatened our planet, Cross said quietly, slicing into his meat. Some folks respond with lawyers. We use sharper tools. Rivek leaned forward. You are a fractured species. Your governments squabble. Your history is soaked in internal conflict. Do you expect the Council to fear you? Cross didn't blink. I expect them to underestimate us. Observer Unit 9F tilted its head. We detect coordinated activity in your orbital bands. Do you deny aggression? Of course, Jo said smoothly. We're just stretching our legs. Into space. 9F asked. Why not? Cross smiled. We've been doing laps around self-destruction for centuries. Thought we'd try something new. Rivek's talons drummed the table once. If we do not conquer you, another species will. Then we'll host them next week, Cross said. Our potato salads, diplomatic grade. Tlun released a slow breath of spores. You think mockery is protection. But your biology is brittle. Your cities are porous. You still burn dead plants for energy. And yet, Jo added, you lost 3 of your finest on a planet that burns dead plants. There it was. A silence deep enough to eat the walls. Rivek stared across. You provoke knowing the cost. Cross met his gaze without blinking. You arrived assuming we hadn't prepared for war. But see, we didn't prepare because of you. We've always prepared. We trained to fight each other. You're just lucky we got bored of that. He stood slowly, glass of bourbon in hand. Earth's messy, loud, proud. A patchwork of opinions and colors and contradictions. But there's a rhythm in our chaos. A pattern we dance to. And when someone threatens us, really threatens us, something ancient wakes up. Rivek's feathers ruffled involuntarily. What wakes? Jo answered, voice like flint. The part of us that wins. Cross raised his glass. To conquest. The aliens didn't move. Cross drank. Then he sat again and added, with a shrug, of course, you could always leave. Impossible, 9F replied. You are now unstable. Exactly, Cross said. And if we're unstable, then poking us is dangerous. You killed 3 envoys, Rivek said. No, Jo corrected. We returned them. The rest, she didn't have to say. Across the stars, messages were being intercepted. Empire ships were being pinged by unregistered frequencies. Their codes were being rewritten by something they didn't recognize. A language made of rhythm, timing, jokes, spite, and spite's older brother, American sarcasm. Cross leaned back. You ever seen an animal play dead, Rivek? Yes. Earth does the opposite. There was no response. Just the sound of a clock ticking in the hall, too loud now, as if it had always been watching. Finally, Tlun whispered, "You are not prey." Cross's voice lowered to a whisper. "We never were." Later, the aliens departed in silence, each one glancing back at the flickering candles and half-eaten meal like it was a trap they hadn't noticed. Zhou walked beside Cross in the quiet. "You think they bought it?" she asked. "Doesn't matter," he said. "The trap's already sprung. Phase 2. Begin. And leak it." Zhou tapped her device. In less than a minute, a dozen galactic outposts received identical messages. "This is a courtesy notification. Earth is now watching." The messages were signed by someone the Empire didn't recognize. But they would soon. Back at the empty table, under the soft candlelight, a hidden speaker played Johnny Cash's voice through the cold air. "You can run on for a long time, but sooner or later, God will cut you down." And in space, one by one, the Empire's forward ships began to go dark. The first ship died without a sound. No explosion, no flare, just a blink in the dark, there, then gone. The signal faded mid-sentence, halfway through an automated Imperial roll call. 14 crew, 3 decks, and 5 centuries of galactic engineering, all swallowed by silence. The Empire flagged it as a malfunction. The second ship vanished 12 minutes later. By the time the sixth went quiet, and a scout drone sent to investigate came back spinning in loops, broadcasting a garbled human voice repeating "knock knock," the Council stopped calling them glitches. They started calling Earth what it was: hostile. Inside the Empire's central war chamber, a vast oval of cold obsidian orbiting the gas giant of Aurelian V, voices overlapped in every frequency. Ministers bellowed. Military strategists hissed commands. A hologram of Earth hovered like a tumor, blue and green and arrogant. Probes had confirmed something impossible. Earth hadn't fired a single shot. No signatures. No heat trails. Yet their ships were falling like leaves in winter. Counselor Tykar, a crystalline being who pulsed with internal light, trembled with every update. Their weapons are untraceable. Their patterns erratic. It is as though the planet breathes violence in reverse. "Or we've missed something fundamental," growled General Sharn, a hulking biped with steel-plated limbs and a voice like gravel caught in thunder. "They are not fighting like a species defending land. They are behaving like predators." Across the room, a lone signal officer whispered, "We've lost orbital trace on the entire Ghost Wolf formation. 47 ships. Gone." In Washington, Nathaniel Cross sat on a park bench with a slice of cherry pie. No guards. No panic. Just wind brushing through oaks and a sky so perfectly blue it almost mocked the notion of war. A pigeon landed near his boot. Cross dropped a crumb. The pigeon tilted its head. Unimpressed, he murmured half to himself, "See, that's the difference. You get used to a world where nothing seems dangerous until it's too late to run." A shadow moved behind him. Maria Zhou. She handed him a folder marked only with an old Department of Agriculture seal. Inside, reports. Grayscale images of vanished ships. Captured alien transmissions. One frame showed a galactic admiral screaming before the feed cut to static. "They've realized we're not bluffing," Zhou said quietly. "Not yet," Cross replied. "Right now, they're still thinking we're unpredictable. Rogue. One sharp mammal in a galaxy of sheep. They're wrong. That's the point." He stood, wiped his hands with a napkin, and walked with her across the lawn. Children played in the distance. Laughter, faint and real, floated in the breeze. "Is Phase 3 ready?" he asked. Zhou nodded. "We've got sleeper tech embedded in 73 galactic markets. If they try to hack it, it'll detonate their own financial systems. Silicon payloads. Carbon-rooted triggers." Cross whistled. "Beautiful. Quiet. Rude. They're preparing a strike," she said. "I'd be disappointed if they weren't." They reached a rusted fountain that hadn't worked in years. Cross sat on its rim. "You think they understand yet?" Zhou asked. Cross watched the wind push a flag into gentle motion. "No," he said, "but they're beginning to see the edge of the smile." Half a system away, Consul Rivek paced inside the Empire's diplomatic cruiser, his wings drawn tight against his back. The footage from Earth haunted him. That dinner. Those calm eyes. He remembered the smell of cinnamon. The strange way humans seemed to enjoy being underestimated. Observer Unit 9F floated beside him, its mechanical voice clipped. There is no logic to this pattern. That's what terrifies me, Rivek muttered. The humans left no diplomatic channel open. Because they weren't negotiating. Rivek turned to the viewport. Their smile, he said, wasn't friendliness. It was teeth. In the Empire's war hub, Admiral Sharn gave the order. An elite fleet, the Sword of the Dawn, 70 warships strong, was to descend on Earth's orbit. No invasion, just a statement. Their arrival would crack the sky, force submission, show the humans what real war looked like. Cross already knew. He was waiting in a long corridor beneath Fort McCallum, flanked by servers and humming lights. Around him, holograms blinked with coded streams. He looked tired. Zhou stepped beside him, holding a tablet. They're en route. 7 minutes. Cross stared at the floor for a long time. I served with a guy once, he said quietly. Back in the Gulf. Sweet guy. Grew up in Nebraska. Used to name his bullets after jazz singers. Zhou didn't interrupt. One night, our convoy got hit. Improvised mines. He crawled out of the wreck, covered in his own blood, and said, I think they made a mistake. I'm still here. He looked at her, eyes flat. You know what he did next? Killed them. No, Cross said. He waited. And when they came to loot the trucks, he lit them on fire from a ditch. Zhou nodded once. Patience is a weapon. Cross turned back to the screens. So is being underestimated. The fleet broke through Earth's upper orbit like a silver spear. Broadcasts echoed across civilian airwaves. Translated messages blared in 16 languages. Stand down. You are outmatched. The ship spread into a net. Shielded. Primed. Threatening without firing. And then, the music began. Every ship, at the same moment, heard a human voice over their intercom. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Confusion spread. Then power dropped. Every engine, every weapon, offline. Across the fleet, lights flickered. Monitors glitched into 1990s-style pop-up windows with cheerful fonts. Would you like to install Earth OS? Panic spread like fire in dry grass. Sharn barked commands. Engineers screamed. A single ship tried to reboot. Its AI began singing Take Me Home, Country Roads at full volume. Then came the static. Then the blackouts. One by one, the ships vanished. No fire. No trace. Just off. Back on Earth. Zhou turned from the screen. All gone. Cross exhaled. Leave one. Why? Because stories need witnesses. Zhou typed a command. Up in orbit, the last remaining ship of the fleet, the Valiant Ember, watched every ally go silent. A single transmission arrived from Earth. A video file. Inside it, footage from the dinner at Fort McCallum. Cross, smiling, raising a glass. To conquest, he said. Then cut to black. Then a single sentence appeared. This is the part where you run. The ship fled. Back in the field, Cross sat again on the park bench. Same slice of pie. Same pigeons. His face calm. Zhou joined him. They'll regroup. I hope so. Why? Cross looked up at the sky. Cold. Clean. Because then they'll send the ones who think they understand us. He leaned back. And those are the easiest ones to kill. High above them, far beyond the moon's curve, a single signal pulsed quietly into deep space. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. And it wasn't for the Empire. It was for anyone else watching. Earth smiles. But Earth remembers. The cryopods arrived in orbit over the Empire's capital like silent accusations. 4 of them, matte black, shaped like coffins, with no prayers left to offer. No encryption. No accompanying fleet. Just a short-range repeating signal in Earth's uncannily polite tone. Return to sender. When Imperial medical drones opened the first, they recoiled. Inside was what remained of Envoy Glary, or at least what Earth had decided to preserve. His fluid tank was sterilized, his neural jelly hardened, But his eyes, what was left of them, were turned upward in an expression disturbingly close to recognition. The second pod contained Zilthor's skull, cleaned, polished, and carefully engraved with Earth idioms. Don't start what you can't finish. Bless your heart. We're just getting warmed up. The third carried Protocol Drone 14.77, dismantled neatly, each piece carefully arranged in alphabetical order by Earth's human standard. Its central processor had been replaced with a sticker that read, "This unit upgraded to Sarcasm 2.0. System no longer supports arrogance." The fourth pod was empty. Instead, it held a handwritten note. "The last diplomat wasn't worth keeping. Consider this mercy." In the throne chamber of the Imperial Core, a floating obsidian tower half the size of Earth's moon, Supreme Archon Valetsy pressed 2 of his 7 fingers to his temple and exhaled. This is not war," he rasped. "This is theater." "They're performing victory," said one of his aides, voice low, brittle. "But we haven't surrendered." "No," Valetsy murmured. "But they're not waiting for us to." The council fractured over what to do. Some demanded a full invasion. Others urged retreat. One particularly bold advisor suggested diplomatic clarity. That advisor was found the next morning curled in his chamber, whispering fragments of Earth's music. "Country roads, take me home." He was quietly retired from duty. Meanwhile, on Earth, Nathaniel Cross was ironing a shirt. The room around him was quiet, plain. A wooden desk, a black rotary phone, a window overlooking what looked like a soybean field but wasn't. Every blade of grass was sensor-wired. The birds overhead were drones. He ran the iron slow and methodical, as if the wrinkles of the cotton had committed treason. Zhou entered behind him with a report. "Their central fleet is in disarray. Half their admirals are refusing orders. 2 sectors have gone silent." Cross didn't look up. "And the fourth pod?" "Delivered. Our message is clear." "It's loud, but is it clear?" Zhou hesitated. "They're scared." Cross finally looked up. "Good." He buttoned the shirt, stepped into the sunlight. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes weren't. Something about them had changed. The polite tactician was still there, but the mask had thinned. Beneath it, the predator watched without blinking. A transmission arrived within the hour, private, untraceable, encrypted through 17 relay stations, and a frequency only Earth and the Empire shared. The Galactic Empire wanted to talk. Not negotiate. Not threaten. Just talk. The meeting was held in a neutral orbit on a diplomatic vessel redesigned to mimic a Terran study. Wooden floors, leather chairs, low amber lighting. A fireplace flickered with synthetic flame. Everything Earth had once called gentle. Valetsy entered first, flanked by his guards. Despite his centuries of rule, his composure faltered when he saw the man who waited. Cross stood near the hearth, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a glass of water. "Welcome," he said, smiling. "Please, sit." Valetsy hesitated before settling into the chair. His voice came slow, halting. "We received your parcels." "They weren't gifts," Cross said evenly. "They were reminders." "Of what?" "That diplomacy has consequences, and Earth has limits." Valetsy's brow knit. "You could have declared war. Open fire. You didn't." "Because we're not here to win a war," Cross replied, setting down his glass. "We're here to end them." There was silence between them, long, dense. Finally, Valetsy spoke, voice softer than expected. "Why us?" "You were the ones who knocked on our door like we were livestock," Cross said. "You underestimated what we are. That's not unique. But you had the misfortune of doing it loudly. We've destroyed worlds for less. Then you've been very lucky until now." Cross leaned forward, elbows on knees. "You see, Archon, humans have this strange habit of appearing harmless until someone breaks the rules of dinner or honor or home. Then we become something else." Valetsy whispered, "Predators." "No," Cross said. "Corrective forces." Zhou's voice came through his earpiece. "Interceptors deployed. Their backup fleets trying to flank. We've jammed them. Ready to respond." Cross ignored it. "You think we fight for power," he said to Valetsy. "But we fight for memory, for dignity. We carry our dead in our bones." We make entire generations bleed for a mistake just once made. We don't forgive well, but we remember perfectly. Valetsi's composure cracked then, just slightly. Then what do you want? To be left alone, Cross said. The air hummed. Joe sent another whisper. Shall I trigger the blackout net? Cross gave no signal. He waited, watched, until Valetsi's gaze dropped, subtle, but it dropped. That was enough. Cross stood, walked to the table between them, and opened a small wooden case. Inside, a folded Earth flag, a bullet casing, and a data chip. Our history, Cross said. The casing is from a war where children were drafted. The chip has every major atrocity your species never read about. The flag? That's just for style. He closed the box. You came to conquer. We came to conclude. There's a difference. Valetsi rose slowly. And if we still try? Cross didn't smile. Not this time. He simply said, then you'll see what Earth becomes when we stop smiling. Valetsi left in silence. On board the diplomatic ship, as Earth's delegation prepared to depart, Joe looked at Cross. That was risky. It always is, he said. Truth usually is. Back on Earth, transmissions poured in from across the galaxy. Other species. Other powers. They wanted to talk. Not surrender. Not fear. But talk. One message, short and anonymous, said simply, we thought Earth was young. Turns out you were just waiting. That night, Cross returned to his home, a small house on a hill outside Denver. No security. No guards. Just a man with memories he didn't share, and a garden he kept quiet. He poured a drink, sat on his porch. The stars above blinked like old friends who had seen things. Joe called him. They've pulled back, she said. The Empire's fleet is fractured. You've done it. No, he said. We've done it. Earth did it. She was quiet for a second. Then, do you think they'll ever come back? Cross stared at the sky. And then slowly he smiled. Not kindly. Not anymore. We gave them their diplomats back, he said. In pieces. Above him, the wind moved like a song the universe had forgotten until now. And Earth, quiet, unburnt, and utterly unbowed, waited for whoever was foolish enough to knock next.